right if I'm on the call? I just joined from the
100%.
link. All right,
No,
cool.
100%, 100%. I know you and I were messaging the other day, and I also sent you the link for
Yeah.
the private session, which is in a few hours later this afternoon as well.
Oh, okay. When is that? Just so I
So that's
know.
at 6 p.m. Eastern. Right now it's 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay,
Right
so
now you're
just
on
to
my,
confirm,
yeah, go ahead.
right. So what is this then? I
Yeah,
don't want
that's
to
what
be
I
on
was
the
just
wrong
kind of
thing.
getting into. So maybe you just jumped
Right.
on the link at the wrong time because this is kind of my
Yeah.
master link I use for all kinds of different events. But I run in
Right.
my you're in my paid community of my PDOCS client acquisition method members and that small little group of paying students. I also have a larger group of whatever 3,000 plus free members, which you may or may not be in. So I run a live stream every week on Thursdays at this
Okay.
time. Every other week, as is this week, I have a special guest on. We cover a very specific topic. So I'm about to introduce, but this is my kind of guest speaker. And then the opposite weeks, myself or my team come on with a new lesson, a training on what's working with copywriting or things changing in the business. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're running into. And now we're live on Facebook. So everybody watching in the PDOCS group, good to be here. And we'll just kind of dive right into it. So as you guys saw in my post and the things I was announcing, this is Eden, who's our guest on this week. Great to have you here. And we're just going to start off with Eden giving a little the context as to how we met one another and how long we've known each other. And then I'd love for you to start off with kind of your background, what you were doing in the past prior to getting into what you do, and how long and the results you've delivered in the last few years in the digital space.
Okay, great. So first of all, great to have being here, and I'm so excited and thrilled. And I know my background right now is a little kitchen because I'm on vacation, so disregarded at the moment. But great being here, guys. So hey, everybody, my name is Eden Alon, and I high productivity leadership coach and marketing expert with the insight of gaining from moderating alongside Dean Graziosi and drawing inspiration from top mentors like Tony Robbins, and I empower emerging entrepreneurs worldwide to master productivity, leverage marketing secrets, Jedi mind trick, if you will, and achieving balanced mastery between growing business and life success. And I'm doing this for a couple of years right now. And I remember, Raymond, we met, what was it, 5 years ago?
No, it was 2020 or 21. 2020 or 21. It wasn't long after I was full-time in the digital space, and I didn't start till late 2019.
Yeah, so something like around that. And,
yeah, 2 to 3 years, 3 to 4 years, something like that.
If I remember correctly, I interviewed you back then to my channel.
That's correct. Yeah, a couple years ago.
Things roll. I just love how it goes. And so is there something else you want me to elaborate here?
No, I'll go a little deeper. And just so anybody just joining now, one thing I want to talk about, we're going to give away at the end is Eden brought a cool free resource that we're going to talk about. Well, it's going to be free for you guys. And it's really just very specific on a cheat sheet guide on how to grow your brand online. And a lot of what we're going to cover today, and I'm going to highlight that, but I just want you guys to know, whether you're here in the Zoom, just comment guide in the comments, or whether you're watching Facebook, and I'll get to you a little later after the replay when I check the comments and we'll get everything sent over to you. But the next thing I'd like you to cover, you touched about like how long we've known each other and that you had interviewed me, but go a little about your backstory, something we talked about earlier this week. You kind of military background, you never really knew you were going to be in this type of position. You probably never anticipated you would be doing what you do now. So talk a little about that before we get into the topics. And just so everybody knows, last thing before you go, our primary topics, in case I forgot to cover it before I hit record, we're diving into client acquisition, more client attraction. And I actually want to talk about the difference of those words, which is something I put. We're going to talk about client attraction and how to do so through leadership and how that's a big integral role. So yeah, first talk a little about your background and then we'll go into those topics.
Sure. So you mentioned that me getting injured. So that was over a decade ago, where I was in the army and I got injured. And while I got injured, it got even more complicated to CRPS. That's a chronic regional pain syndrome, which a nerve got tangled and gets pain to the section that got hurt. In my case, it's my leg. So at that point, I got into a place of deep depression, because I had immense pain that I couldn't even move from my bed. I was grounded for my bed for around more than 4 years.
Wow.
I couldn't actually get up. from all the pain. And I was afraid even to go outside. That might someone touch my leg and that will intensify the pain even more. So I was even avoiding getting with people alongside. And back then when I was in the army, I thought even that I will stay in the army for years. And I felt like, hey, maybe I will go officer, commander, and all that. And I didn't expect that happening, right? Like actually getting injured and getting that disability, if you will. But that got me from the worst place that I were, in a huge depression, that back then I had even those 3 options in my mind. One, it's always hard for me to even talk about it, always is, I thought to take my own life back then. Because I thought that that's it, that there's no way for me to even move forward. The pain will never go away. I will stay with that. I saw only darkness, if you will, back then.
Yeah.
Second was, okay, maybe I will get some treatment. Maybe I will find some 9-to-5 job to even provide something. Or 3, to freaking rise up and do something about it. And that was the moment everything changed, that I took that decision of rising up and start to change and pivot. And I start to learn from the best of the best. If it's Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Brendon Bouchard, Russell Brunson, every single one, I was studying them like crazy, like crazy. And then I got into Dean Graziosi as a moderator. And I was for 3 years moderator in his groups. I was learning the secrets, if you will, about events, how to attract people, the marketing secrets. And while also studying a lot from Tony Robbins, how to actually rewire my brain in order to function. Because even now, this moment, I'm having tremendous pain, but you don't see that right now, because I know how to channel it, because I rewire my brain. Every time I'm rewiring my brain, and that's where I learned those secrets. And I wanted to bring that to others as well. I said, I don't want to keep that. I want to give that. That's where also, alongside getting to know Dean Graziosi inside these groups and being moderator, I actually stumbled upon amazing human beings that now we are partners, and we're running those courses that actually help people to bring their first clients by running events and bring their first clients. And we're doing it for around, 3 years already. And it's amazing experience, because we're helping people all across the world. This digital area is the best place because it got to connect with every person around the world, right? We have people from Australia, we have people from Europe, we have people from the US, from different time zones, different places. And it's beautiful how we serve people all across. And I'm grateful, really grateful to be at that place where I'm actually contributing and giving even more. And this is an amazing place to be in. And it started from a place of actually, okay, I want to help people. And I wasn't even sure if I can do it as a coach, let alone doing something like, if you told me, Eden, you will do interviews, you will run groups, you will do courses with partners, I will like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. But then everything just turned over, and life is happening for us, not to us. So this disability, if you will, actually was a gift, because it helped me to understand people even more because of what happened. And that's why I'm really grateful for that. And this is the story of how I actually got to today and running these courses with my partners, amazing partners that I have. So yeah.
That's awesome. So in essence, when you really summarize there, your disability is actually what opened up your gateway to finding your superpower and what's made you happy and what you enjoy doing, and things you never would have, like you said, you would have thought you were crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. So that's awesome. You were kind of in that mode when I met you. You were already you already kind of had that rise up mentality, right? And that's when we first came across. And that's part of the thing that helped us stay in touch was just like your persona and your attitude, and you're always going forward. And you were setting, when you and I first met, I think you were setting very specific challenge on, you were going to go live either every day or whatever it was for 100 days, whatever it was at the time. You had something, you were very diligent.
365.
There you go. So for a full year. Okay, whatever.
365.
Yeah. Yep. And you were also a moderator in one of those groups when you and I first met. So totally, yeah, that's around when that all happened. But yeah, so let's talk about, what you do now. I know you partnered with some other experts, and you made a great point, right? All the great people we meet. I mean, the digital arena, for lack of a better phrase, is the place to be, because number one, there's no limitations to geographic locations, brick and mortar, countries, states. Like, there's none of that, right? You can work with anybody anywhere and help them. If you're a service-based business, if you're a product-based business, you can ship anywhere in the world. So there's very little restrictions, but it also opens you up to meeting so many more great people and expanding your network and surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you level up and get to those next stages. Now, what you do now is you build out kind of a client attraction model to help your entrepreneurs. And I love how even in your cheat sheet and your terminology and your messaging, you're not trying to blow smoke up people's ass and say you're going to become a millionaire overnight. You said, I've helped dozens and dozens or hundreds or whatever the business is, build 5- and 6-figure, very reputable businesses that people want to launch. And some of those will grow bigger, yes, but like, you're not making those promises of, 7 figures, Lamborghinis behind you, flashy stuff, which I also like. But talk a little about how you help clients attract those first 10 clients, and what goes into client attraction.
So what goes into client attraction? That's a good question. And I do want to also touch on what you said, right? There is no magic button. We think like, oh, there is that program or this mentor that I will just do something and bam, money flows, right? And it doesn't work like that, right? It's about repetition. It's about growing, and it's about serving other people. That's what we do in the Launch Lab with my partners, right? We're actually teaching how you can do it, and do it with repetition, and actually create this community, right? Because when we're creating communities, this is about the client's acquisition, right? Is we're building this community and raving fans that wants to come back and wants more of what you have to provide, because you're not just another buck. You're actually a friend. You're actually part of the family.
Yeah.
Right? In the Launch Lab, this is something unique we come up with, and we're doing it inside our program. We have accountability program that actually we have team leaders, we have accountability program, where in that program, people actually have team leaders that moving them along, that is with them alongside every step of the way. And when it's hard, they're there for them. When something doesn't go well, they're there for them. And that's beautiful, because we have that mantra in the Launch Lab that no one is left behind. No one is left behind. So about acquiring this, right, clients acquisition, you got to come from a serving place, from a place of, I want to serve, I want to help, I want to give, right? Not searching just, okay, I want to earn, right? Because when we're in that mentality, we're scaring people away. Because what's happening is we're in that place of push. Please buy, just buy for me, right? People tend to go away. Think about it like when you're dating, right? This is the same thing, right? When we date, are you going like straight away? And guys and women, let me know, right? If I'm right? If a guy comes to you like hardcore, buy you chocolates, buy you this, and like he's all over you, like, whoa, stay away. This is the first date. What the hell are you doing, right? And he will say, I love you, just marry me, right? Whoa, stay away. What is going on, right? This is the same thing when we want to acquire our first clients. It doesn't like, okay, come. Like, let me help you. Let's pursue, right? This kind of order, right? Like when you're in dating, you want to get to know the person. You want to know what their needs, what they want, provide them what they want, right? Give them what they want and provide them what they need, which is a huge one, right? So you want to bring that value. You want to bring that place of getting to know your clients, or even your prospect before they even become clients.
Yeah.
And when
No.
you get to know them, what they love to do, what they like to do during even their free time, right? You're getting to
Exactly.
know them because people love to do businesses with people that
People.
are like them,
Like-minded people, yeah.
like-minded people, right?
Yep. And like we always talk about, the business doesn't grow itself. People and your relationships grow the business. And, you know, that's what it really takes, whether they're team members, whether they're customers, it all comes back to people and relationships. And you made a good analogy where there with dating or romantic relationships. It's a two-way street. If somebody's way overbearing or clingy or too aggressive, like the way he put it was great. Like, you're going to be more likely to get a restraining order out of that than a second date if you show up like that, right? They're going to be more like,
I don't want this many.
yeah, exactly. So and a lot of that has to do with active listening as well. People want to be heard. It wants to be a collaboration. People want you to give them their insight, but they also want you to do it within their vision and their, you know, ethics of how they want to run their company. Not everybody's messaging is going to jive. And that's what Eden was talking about there about, you know, attracting like-minded individual. When your stuff is authentic and it's relating to people, they're going to want to, you know, gravitate toward you and spending their time with your content or spending their money on your products. I always have a great example of this guy overseas that joined one of my, his name is Caleb, joined one of my high ticket $6,000 coaching programs a couple years ago. And the reason he ended up coming in is not because of any of my client testimonials or my wins or my new lessons. It was because something he saw from me out coaching my daughter's softball game that related to him. And then he wanted to hop on a call with me. So again, they want to relate to you as a person, as well as a professional and an expert and a leader.
Exactly.
That's a great little analogy. Now, one thing I'd like to ask
I
you.
do apologize because the homeowner actually keeps calling me, so I don't know if something happened. That's what's happening right in life. Sometimes things happening and I never answer calls. It's just the homeowner keep calling me and I hope everything is okay. I don't know.
Yeah, you're like an Airbnb or something.
Yeah, Airbnb. Exactly.
Yeah. No, I get it. If something happens, just reconnect or whatever, and I can still talk for a couple minutes. But
I'm be ready. Sorry.
no, you're good. What I'm going to dive into next, and what I'm going to ask Eden's take on as well, is some of the differences between client acquisition and attraction. I'd love to hear his thoughts on that. We'll give it a second, see if he hops right back. And otherwise, I will just go through some more stuff myself. Actually, you know what I can do for a second? Anyhow, let me share a screen and go through what we're going to be giving away to, again, anybody here in the Zoom, which I only have one or two extra people here in the Zoom. If you'd like this guide and like us to send you it over, just let me know in the comments here in the chat. And if you're watching in the Facebook group, also in the comments, or YouTube, again, put it in the comments, or I will link this right in the description. So if you're seeing this on YouTube, you can just go to the description and click right on it. Obviously, I can't do that here while I'm live, but this show you a quick little launch lab, quick guide to building your brand like a pro. And that's exactly what this is. So it's really how to turn your Facebook profile. And again, this is relatable. And I teach this in a lot of my organic stuff, probably to Instagram, to LinkedIn, to anything. There's just subtle changes in platforms in terms of how direct. One's more business to business, one's more business to consumer, one's more perhaps photo and short form content, and one is more still image or long form content. So whatever's working on industries doesn't really matter. You can turn your social media profile into, you know, all day, all night free advertising, things that are working while you're asleep. And that's a good part of it. And as they go on to say, you know, the main, you know, aspects behind this are optimizing your Facebook account, you know, increasing your views and engagement by about 20% there. Identify and engage your audience, 25% increase in the old KLT, know, like, trust factor, through compelling content creations, things we were just talking about again, you know, things that will relate to people as well as your authority as a business or a service, or a company, whatever you want to, you know, call it. And then also to promote and sell your products, right? That comes next. First, you have to be able to get views and engagement. Then you have to build up that KLT, the know, like, trust, before people are generally going to pull out their credit card, right? And I love how when you got down here in your guide, you talked about, you know, the simple guide, obviously, but then you drop below a few of the people that you've worked with. I went through 3 or 4 of these. And again, as I mentioned, I think it was over here on this page, was it? Yeah, right there. So as I mentioned, building 5 to 6 figure annual businesses, right? So we're not promising overnight millions of dollars in your bank account. But if you want to work with somebody that can help you do the secrets, that's worked with guys like these and help manage communities, I will, again, link all of Eden's information and the link to this below. So what I want to dive back into now is, before I give you my take, I'd love to know your thoughts on the difference between the phrase or the verbiage client acquisition and client attraction.
So client attraction, right, how I see it is basically when you're posting and marketing and doing that place of actually attract your clients through your brand, right? When you're branding your Facebook, when you're branding, because our social media is exactly like our business card, if you will, right? So we want to attract them very fast because the span that we have nowadays with all the social media, the researchers shows that it's 0.07 milliseconds span, right? So we want to attract them very, very fast. So we're doing it through our social media pages. We're doing some value with a great hook, and we're getting to know, like, and trust factor, right? That comes to acquisition. That's where we actually get them to get to know us, that we get to know them, and they actually get connected with us and becoming raving fans. That's or the second part. So we first want to attract them and then acquire new clients, right? I don't love to use those terms because how also we see it in the Launch Lab and when the program, right? We see this as you're creating a lasting change and lasting relationships. It's not just acquire a new client, it's actually building relationships that last.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the differences of how I see the acquisition to the actual attraction.
Got it. Yeah, that's one great way to put it, and that's kind of one angle that I would go down as well. I also believe, or the way I look at it and the way I've implemented it into my businesses and been shown by others, is client attraction is just one strategy and tactic within your whole acquisition system. Part of that is building up the know, like, trust, is actually attracting them. Part of that could be a totally different strategy, right? You may have a more partnership strategy, which is a little different than attracting a consumer. So there's all different aspects and strategies or tactics within client acquisition that can work for you, and one that's very, very powerful, and one I think people have been talking about less. I think I heard more about client attraction 3 or 4 years ago than I do now, because I think certain people didn't understand it right and put kind of a bad persona on it, for lack of a better phrase. You know what I mean? And it's just got, with some people, though, like, sounds like an MLM or a negative connotation. That's just because they weren't doing it right, and then it wasn't authentic and genuine by the ways you were just saying. There's not really the strategy and the framework built to have lasting relationship. It's just a tactic to get somebody's credit card. And there's right and wrong ways to do everything in life, right? Whether you talk about online businesses, how you treat people, everything, right? So that's a great point. Now, from what you had mentioned a little earlier, to allude back on what we talked about earlier this week when I was kind of prepping this live stream, is, what you show your clients primarily is how to execute on the attraction and how to get conversions primarily through live events. Is that correct?
Right.
Talk about that a little more, the different types of events, what goes into the kind of framework or strategy to put them together.
So that's a good one. I do want to mention something that you said about the MLM, right? I've been there, done that. And when I done that, I was actually burning myself out because my values is honesty, is being fair, is being that equality, right? So when I was in the MLM, that was contradict, and I got burned out because I felt like I'm selling a dream that's not true. And I felt so bad. I did give the products, I did deliver everything. I never con anyone, right? But I was in a place of like, damn it, it feels so wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't right.
I don't want to sell that. Look, this is a magic button, right? This is the truth. This is the place of building that, right? There's no magic button, like we mentioned. So about the events and the strategies, right? So you have a lot of type of events, and I saw throughout those 3 years, people like very love to change. It depends on the person, right? So there are challenges, right? 3-day challenge, 5-day challenge, 30-day challenge, or workshops, webinars, and so on. So you have like various, right? So the favorite that we love to focus is actually webinars, because those are the easiest to start with, right? It's just something that goes for an hour. presentation, that you actually deliver value, you do the hook, story, close, and then bam, that's it, right?
And you can educate on that and bring people from maybe unaware of your solution to solution and product aware. So they're more aware and they're educated more throughout the webinar, I'm guessing.
Yes. So in the webinar, there, if I go more specifically into that, right, we have the hook, which you're like, this is what you get for, right? Let's say 3 steps to step up as a leader, right?
Yep.
Or lose 10 pounds in the next 3 weeks, right? You will learn how to lose 10 pounds in the next 3 weeks. So let's say this is the topic of the webinar. So you have the hook, right? You want to attract them straight away. And then inside, right, there is what is the benefit? Is it for them, right? Those who actually comes to that event. Is it for you? Do you want to stay here? Is it something that you will benefit from it? And then you're giving some authority, who are you and what you're actually helped with, right? And then comes a bit of a teach part. I will show you how to do that, right? So it's hook, your story that you're talking about, who you are, what you did, and then a bit of a teach, right? Yep. You're teaching them for around 15 minutes, 10 minutes or so. And then comes the pitch, if you will, where you actually do the close, right? So you give them a CTA, call to action, how to actually they can buy from you.
Yep.
How they can actually continue with your services. So this is how the structure of a webinar goes, right? And that is the easiest part to start, because a lot of time, right, when someone just starting out, they don't know even what they are doing at the beginning, right? I remember my first event. I didn't know what the hell am I doing.
Yeah, none of us did, I don't think.
I didn't know what the hell am I doing. And I remember that pain, because it was for a whole year. A whole year. I was building the webinar at the 3-day challenge. I wanted to be perfect. I was building and crafting the course for a whole year. And when I launched that, my greatest fear happened. Nobody came.
I knew
Nobody came. I have empty seats, and I would keep delivering. And I was like, damn it, what did I do wrong? And at the end, I was like, should I keep doing this? And it was like 5 years ago or so. Should I keep doing this? Should I not? Okay, let's see. Let's learn. Let's reflect. What didn't work there? Let's see what happened. And then I learned what actually didn't work, because it was so spread out. It wasn't focused. So people actually, okay, so it's about marketing, sales, help with people, leadership. It's like all over the place. And like people, what didn't understand the value. Therefore, I needed to craft it a bit. Yep. And then I launched again, but this time was faster, right? After a month. And bam, I had 5 clients straight away after I actually refined it. So the best advice is, when you're starting, do a webinar, short webinar, and just do it, right? That's why we have the accountability, right? That you're launching with accountability. You're checking if it's actually working, give the feedback, and then launch again, right? That's how we actually see, is it working? Is it not working? What is wrong? Maybe suddenly when you're actually putting the presentation, oh, got the whole point there. So I need to change and tweak, right? So this is the strategy with the webinar in very short term, right? I can dive deep into like in the next few hours, right? But
no, I get it.
In short, right? You have the hook, then you're going to give your story, you're giving about teaching part, and then closing, right?
Call to action, yeah.
So this is how you start a webinar. And how do you track them, right? You're doing it through a marketing phase promotion sequence, that you're going through a whole promotion sequence that people get to know you, right? Not every day, come to my webinar, come to my webinar, come to my webinar, because then you're
repelling,
giving value, and then come to my webinar, giving value, and then come to my webinar, right? You want to actually people that see what you're capable of, and giving that, oh my God, that person has so much knowledge. They can help me to lose 10 pounds. They can help me getting my first clients. They can help me with whatever you're helping with.
Yeah.
And then they want to join you. And then they want to join your services because they see that you know what you're talking about, but you're also giving value. It's not from a place of take, it's about a place of give.
Yep, I would agree out of the ones you mentioned that the webinar is the easiest to start with for a couple of reasons. Like you said, especially for people just starting out and creating their first digital event or live event or whatever, you know, what have you. Number one, that has a bit more structure to it, like you said, 4 main parts. And the other thing that he didn't really mention that happens as a byproduct of that, and it's part of the webinar process, is you're going to pre-qualify or disqualify good and bad fits before you ever get to the CTA. So you're going to say exactly who this is for, or if you're expecting to be a millionaire overnight, don't click the button. I don't want you coming in my program. Like, that's not who I'm looking for. Look, right. And you can be very specific about the who you want and the who you don't want. So only people that are going through the CTA, you know, are actually the right fits before they book in your calendar or become a client or whatever that is in your funnel. So I think that's another big aspect. But I think you're right. When you're starting off with building more workshops or challenges, there's more things than just 4 or 5 moving parts like you could put into a webinar structure. And you need to have more proof of concept of knowing the results. So like you said, the first thing, you could make it all shiny and beautiful and think everybody's going to buy it, and then you take it to market and there's crickets. We basically build out very, very few products now in any of the 3 companies I'm a part of without doing it with the client first. Like, we don't build out courses anymore. We kind of beta and see what the market's feeling and say, hey, the first 20 people want to run through this, we'll do it for, you know, 75% off. And that builds out our curriculum, and we get the feedback loop and we see what, because a lot of times, even when we have a product, a course, it doesn't matter, course done for you, done with you, do it yourself. There's always things that we think people will figure out, but they don't connect the dots and execute and implement. So you need that feedback loop so we can provide more support or more done for you aspects, because maybe they won't do it themselves or whatever. So they're going to actually achieve that result. Because no matter how good your finished product is, if you don't come out to where somebody can follow it, implement, execute, and get a result, they're not going to be a happy customer and they're not going to stay. Well, we only have about 8 or 10 more minutes before I got to run. But one other thing we talked about, and I want you to dive into and let you speak about this a bit, is the aspect of how leadership really can tie into client attraction, tie into really damn near everything we talked about today. But talk a little about leadership and kind of the components of that go into you know, being a good leader in terms of a community and influencing or attracting an audience.
This is a good aspect, right? Because a true leadership, what is a true leadership, right? Is when we lead ourselves first. We're a lot of time thinking like, oh my God, I got to lead people. They have to follow me. No, but if you're not following yourself first, no one will follow you, right? So you got to follow yourself first, actually leading yourself first. And when you're leading yourself first, people see the changes. They see that you're getting the result. They want to join with you because they see you walk the talk and not just, okay, come get this, come get 10 pounds, but this person is overweight, right? So it doesn't walk the talk. So it's the place of actually starting to leading yourself. So how we start to lead ourselves and how it's actually manifest with your clients is by first taking control of what you can, right? A lot of time we're thinking, oh, but this happened to me and life this, and oh my God, but everything happened, right? Like, for example, with, right, I'm from Israel, so we have a war right now. And when it started, I was freezing. I was like, what am I doing? And I didn't know even how to react to this. And it was a place of survival. So when I start to shift to a place of actually, how can I thrive and survive, not just survive, then everything starts to change, right? Taking control of what I can. I don't have any control of the war. If I don't have any means to stop it, if I do, I will, but I don't have any means to do it, right? I don't have any means. I can't influence that place. So first I got to influence my own inner world. And when I do that and I got the control back, then things start to change, right? My whole environment started. I was able to actually help my friends, help my family cope with everything that's going on. And then before my clients there, and also before my partners, because if I don't influence myself first, I can't influence no one. Right? So this is the first step, right? What is in my control, right? Writing at least 5 things that is in your control, right? Stop everything that you're doing and actually write, like, what is my top 5 things that I can do right now that is in my control to move forward? So this is first. Second, what you can do is actually, okay, so if I'm leading myself, I need to walk the talk. Let's start maybe branding myself, right? Start with my Facebook, change everything, start to give value, right? Which in the lead magnet, you see how to build yourself like a pro and do it through your Facebook. And you can do it through every social media, right? The same steps, it's the same system. So you're starting with that, right? Start to brand yourself better, start to see what is not working, really reflect upon it, and then change what doesn't work and repeat the process. That will actually attract your clients, because when you're out there, you're seeing what is actually working. And ask your client.
Yes.
Yes, ask your
100%.
prospect, ask your clients. Don't be afraid of looking like, I'm not like a pro. No, by asking, you are like a pro. You're branding yourself like a pro, because you're asking, hey, what do you think? Is this working for you? Is this the result that you're looking for? Is this something that I can help you? Right? Ask, because ask and you shall receive. Right? You got to ask your client. You mentioned that, Raymond, right? You're asking your clients, you're doing it in 70% off, right? And then you try this. This is part of it. By you leading yourself, doing the work that nobody see, right? Like Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan had to do 10,000 shots when nobody saw him doing it. And then in the game, whoa, look at that pro. No, he wasn't that pro because he was talent. No, he worked through this when he did the work that no one saw, right? So this is where you actually attract your clients and start to acquire them more, is when you're out there doing the work, branding yourself, start to actually creating connection, not thinking about taking, but actually giving. And then, okay, what is in my control? What can I change now? How can I brand myself better? What can I do different, right? Maybe someone that I need help for, right? Ask yourself, who is the person that can help me in this specific area, right? So this is the place of you actually transitioning to a place of you attracting the client, because you're out there, you're giving the value, you're providing, you're asking your client. This is a huge one. Ask your client. We always ask our client. We always ask our client, is this working for you? Yes, no, okay, let's change. What doesn't work?
Yep. No, I love it. I love it. And that leads into where we don't have time to dive into everything that we wanted to cover. And rarely do I when I do these 45-minute live streams. But I think what you mentioned there is great. And that leads into the other points we would have mentioned if we went a little deeper, is more about influence and authority. But you can't do those if you haven't led yourself, if you haven't built proof of concept, if you're not out there consistently implementing yourself. You're going to teach somebody else to do something that you're not even doing. So the buy-in isn't going to be there. It's got to be reciprocal. And so it all starts with that. I love that lead by example. There's a great phrase, right? How can you lead others or help others when your own house isn't even in order, right? You know what I mean? So somebody's going to hire you to clean your house when you have a messy ass house. Like, no, like that's not who I'm going to hire to clean my house, right? What is true leadership? And he really nailed the foundational phases, and then it would dive into more. Once you have that down and you're doing that, you're going to, as a byproduct, build your confidence, gain more influence over this audience, attract new audience, and ultimately going to be able to create more market authority. I kind of consider,
if you don't believe that you can do it, you will never do it.
That's true too. That's true too. And the only way you'll believe is if you get out there and do it, and then you'll sit good at the end of the day, be like, damn, I did send out all my DMs. I did do all my posts. I did optimize like my 5 things. Like he said, pick 5 things that are within your control. I used to get up every day, and the first thing I would say is 2 things that are within my control every damn day are my effort and my attitude. Nobody can take that away. Very similar to like great pros like Michael Jordan. Nobody can take away his work ethic. Doesn't matter if he was hurt, if he was injured, if nobody saw, he knows he put in the work. And that's why he went to the game with that competitive greatness GOAT mindset. He's like, I outworked you before the game. I'm going to outwork you after the game. So I bet you I'm going to outplay you tonight in this 60-minute game. Or 48 minutes, sorry, basketball. Either way, but you get the point, right? So that's great. Like there's certain things that every day are within your control. How consistent, how often do you implement? Do you just consume information, or do you actually create content and put it out there as well? One lever you can change right off the bat, create more than you consume. When you start to do that, it's already going to make that quick trend. But I would define true leadership for myself, whether it's for team members or attracting an audience and influence and being a leader, is how do I when I work with somebody and coach them or teach them or have a call with them, how do I get them to be their best self? The most potential of my employees, my team members, the most potential in terms of goals that I've worked with people that never thought they would have at 7-figure companies that had it within a year. And they're like, holy shit, right? Just because we really put in the hard work and did the whole program, it turned into this. I'm like, I didn't know it was necessarily possible either, but you know what I mean? You just gotta get in and do it. So by helping somebody reach their best self and their true potential is when, you know, you're at your finest in leadership. And all the names you mentioned earlier that you've had the pleasure to be associated with and on some of their teams and their groups, the Tony Robbins, the Dean Graziosis, the Ben Bouchard, all those people, you know, they lead by these same examples and aspects. So in closing, I want to say the one takeaway where we're totally congruent and that will never change, and why we both probably still here in this space, because you and I both know a lot of people we talked to 2 or 3 years ago or interviewed or talked to about their digital business are no longer, they're back at their 9 and 5 or they gave up because they didn't have the desire to be great and to put in the consistent work. But one thing I would say that we have the same mindset is I go out there trying to deliver value with no expectation of return. And what I found is somehow that gets me a tenfold expectation of return than when I'm trying for a return. Like and even on a sales call, I go into that with no expectation of closing. I go in there with a consultative, adversize, trying to be more of an advisor and give them the next steps and recommendations, whether that's my program, whether that's referring them. And as a byproduct, I close more deals by disassociating than thinking I need to close this deal because I need $5,000 in revenue, or I need my $500 commission, or whatever that is, right? So, and as I touched on, I know some of you guys, people joined, I can see in the Facebook a little late in the live, and then some people hopped on the Zoom here late. So Eden was the guest. I know JP and Fahad and a couple people joined in. The last thing I just wanted to share, if anybody wants this, just comment down below. But Eden brought us a great little resource to give away to anybody that attended, really covering exactly what we talked about. So it's kind of his little build your brand cheat sheet guide or your ebook on how you can do this for yourself. And it really goes through everything we covered. And again, my biggest takeaway is he's not trying to blow smoke up people's asses and say you're going to become a millionaire overnight. Very realistic expectations. When you put in the work, you do the work and you believe in yourself. Eden, I had a blast in the last 2 minutes I got. Anything you'd like to wrap up since I stole the thunder here your last 3 or 4 minutes?
No, it was on the spot. It was on the spot. I do want to add to what you said, right? This is a question to get momentum, right? In order to influence yourself and influence other, is who do I become, right? Who do I become in this process? So when you set your goal, let's say you want 10K a month, 100K a year, 200, 400, whatever. It doesn't matter how much you want to earn, right? Ask yourself, who do I want to become? Because at the end of the day, businesses is like that, right? It's like a roller coaster. It's not like straight line. Right, we're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And when things go down, no one can take who do you become. No one. And when you have this skill of that leadership, of moving forward, getting that momentum, even when things go down, if you will,
yeah.
When things hard, you will soar when you're getting to that place of higher ground. So keep that momentum by asking, who do I want to become? This will give you a lot of momentum to keep moving forward. And by building the brand, like we talked today, and you get that cheat sheet, if you will, that ebook right now. And this will help you to keep doing this. But one thing that has to mention is keep doing this, keep refining. Don't do it just once.
Correct.
Keep refining it. And when you're finishing here, implement. This is a huge part that most of us forget, and we become addicted to learning. Learning is awesome. Keep learning each and every day, and implement alongside that.
Yep, implement what's applicable. You're going to learn, you might learn a lot and only 20% is applicable. We'll take that 20% and throw it into what you're doing, right? Exactly. And the last thing I'm going to say to that's a great point. Ask yourself who you need to become, right? When you do that, think of 2 things behind that. What actions and behaviors does this person exemplify? And what do I need to change there? Because who you want to become and to morph into that person all comes back down to the actions and behaviors that we exhibit individually. So that's the foundation to achieving who you want to become, right? You might have to change the way you act. You might have to quit drinking. You might have to quit going out, whatever it is. To become that person, you're probably going to have to make some changes. And if you're not honest with yourself, you don't really want it. You know what I mean? But Eden, this was great. We'll have to jam again really soon. I'm running short on time and I got another call to run to. Thanks everybody for the comments here and tuning in. And anybody that needs anything, just drop a comment below, whether you're seeing this Facebook. Again, YouTube, I'll have all Eden's information in the description so you can reach out to him so you can get his free resource. And if you're looking for a client attraction process for yourself, I'll include all of his info. So thanks again for coming on, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. And guys, don't forget, take action right now. So thank you again, Raymond. Glad to be here. Thank you guys for investing the time with us and listening here. So keep on going and growing. Thank you.
Right on, man. We'll be in touch soon. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.